Hello everyone, and today we're going to cover half-life and double timing. So here we go. Okay, now again, very similar formulas again. Okay, so with a double time, okay, you're going to notice that we're going to have our n, which is our final amount, or how much is in there when we're done. Okay, we're going to have our original amount in the colony, or original amount that we had to start with. That's NO. Okay, now the difference, again, we already did green, let's do red, is for half-life, again, it's going to be a 1/2, whereas double time, the rate's going to be a 2. Okay. And then T is time, again, typically again, depending on the question. And H is either the half-life, or D is the double time. How long it takes the item to become exactly 1/2 of what it was, or how long it took the items to double. Okay? All right. So let's get started with our problems. Okay, so number 1 says we're starting with a colony of bacteria. Okay? And a colony of bacteria starts with 16 members. If the bacteria population doubles every 40 minutes, how many bacteria will there be in an hour and 10 minutes? Round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so now we read the problem first. Anytime you deal with a word problem, you read the stupid thing. Now, let's go through and start picking things up. Okay, a colony has a bacteria of 16 members. Okay, so that's our NO, that's our starting point. And because we're doubling, because it says doubles, okay, so this is my NO. Okay. Now, the bacteria population doubles every 40 minutes. That's my D. That's this right here. Okay. How many bacteria will be in the colony after an hour and 10 minutes? So that's our time. So that's going to be this guy right here. Okay. So we've read this, and we're going to round the answer to the nearest whole number. So let's start. Okay, let's get what we need here. So we're at N, NO, and we have T, and because we're doing double timing, it's going to be a D. All right, so let's get started. Bacteria colony has 16 members. This is 16. Population doubles every 40 minutes. So let's make this a 40. Now, here's where we have to be cautious. The time is 1 hour and 10 minutes, so we do not do 110, because 110 minutes is not an hour and 10 minutes on the clock. Okay, we have to keep these the same. Whoops, I forgot. I'm trying to use the eraser here. There we go. Oh, no. No. All right, so we can't use 110. Okay. So we have to convert the hour and 10 minutes into minutes. So again, an hour is 60 minutes, and the 10 minutes extra, so this is going to be a 70. Okay, we have to keep our units the same. So we either convert the minutes to decimals of an hour, which I don't recommend, or we convert the hours into minutes, which is more reasonable to do here. All right, so we have N equaling NO, with 2 times TD over D. Okay, so that's our formula. So N, number of bacteria at the end, we don't know what that is. NO, the original amount in the colony, is 16 times 2. Time is going to be 70 divided by 40. Okay. Now, you don't have to do this here, but I would reduce this to fraction of 7 over 4. Okay. So, let's have it like this. So now at this point, let's start doing the math here. So, again, we're not going to multiply this first. You cannot, because there's an exponent here. Okay. So, we're going to go here. Okay. So, N is equal to 16 times... Now, on our calculators, we're going to take 2, and this is how I would type it in, 2 raised to the, open a parenthesis, you're going to do 7 divided by 4, or 70 divided by 40 if you didn't reduce, close the parenthesis, and hit equals. So when you do that, I get n is equal to 16 times. I'm going to have 3.363585661. Okay, while you're writing that, I'm going to scooch this up a little bit here. Okay, so now at this point, now I multiply this together. So n is equal to, so times that answer by 3. Oh, shoot, not by 3. Let me go back, get that answer. And then we're going to times that by 16, I'm sorry. So I get 53.81737,058. Now, direction said round to the nearest whole number. So this says we're going to round this to 54. So that means there were 54 pieces of bacteria in this colony after an hour and 10 minutes. Okay? Pretty simple. All right, let's move to the next one. Okay, so let's start. The element berkelium decayed to 56 grams in 3 hours. If the half-life is 4.6 hours, how much was originally there? Okay, so we read the problem first, get an idea of what it's doing. So let's do this again. Let's read it out. An element berkelium decayed to 56 grams in 3 hours. Okay, now again, it's decaying, deteriorating. That would indicate half-life. So this would be my N, because that's what was there after the 3-hour time period. Now, the half-life of the object is 4.6 hours. So that's my half-life. That's my H. And we're looking for how much was originally there. So, N, N-O, T, H. Okay, so let's start. There's 56 grams of the berkelium after a time frame of 3 hours. Now, if the half-life is 4.6 hours, how much was originally there? Shh, Gwen, shh. Trying to teach again. Okay. So N equals N-O. Yeah, teaching. 1/2.
I'm teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching my baby.
No, I'm not teaching the babies. I'm teaching my students. You're the baby. Okay. That's nice. All right, so let's fill in what we know. So 56 equals NO, I don't know what that is, with 1/2 time is 3 divided by 4.6. Teaching my students, right. Now, I normally don't like having a decimal in my fraction here. But again, this is all going to be done on the calculator anyway, so I'm not too concerned about this. All right, so now, my next step, let's raise this to the power. So 56 equals to NO times. So again, on my calculator, I'm going to type this in as open a parenthesis. 1 divided by 2, so 1 divided by 2. Close the parenthesis. Raised to the, so raised to the, open another parenthesis, and I'm going to do 3 divided by 4.6. 3 divided by 4.6, and close the parenthesis and hit equals. And when I do that, 0.6363207562. Now again, I do stress. Okay, if you did not get this, you need to double check your calculator. You may have to type this backwards. Okay, so again, make sure that you understand how your calculator works. Typically, with a lower functioning calculator, you would start with the 1/2. It'll give you 0.5. Then you do the raise to the parenthesis and then this guy, and then hit equals twice, and it should give you that result. Okay, So again, make sure you are getting this decimal over here. If you're not, you need to stop the film and check out your calculator and see how you get it. Okay? Now, at this point, again, I'm going to keep that answer in my calculator because now I have to divide by this mess. And it's a lot easier to keep it as a previous answer because, again, you don't have to type it all over again. So NO is equal to, so on my calculator, I'm going to do 56 divided by, and I'm going to hit the previous answer button. As I showed you in other videos, typically it's a second function, so you'd hit the second, and then you would hit the button, whatever it is, that says ANS. Okay? So second function answer equals. Here, what? Okay, there you go, Pumpkin.
Thanks.
Welcome. So when I do that, okay, we're going to have 88.800593 and some change. Okay, and I'm going to shrink this a little bit here so I have room to finish. Now, typically with these problems, I usually round these to 2 places. So the 5 is going to tell me we're going to go up to 1. So NO is equal to 88.01 grams. Okay. So, but again, very important you know how your calculator works with this stuff. Again, if you're not getting the matches, yeah, she's right here. So, let's move on. Okay, next step. Then synthetic element californium has a half-life of 45 minutes. How long will it take for 96 grams of californium to decay to 13? And when we're looking for time, that typically means we're going to be using a logarithm here. But let's start reading this first. Synthetic element californium has a half-life of 45 minutes. So I already know I'm using the half-life formula, and its H value is 45. How long will it take 96 grams of the stuff, so that's what you're originally starting with, to go to 13 grams? That's what we're going to end with. Okay, so NNOTH. So N is going to be 13. That's what we're going to end with. We're starting with 96 grams of the stuff. Ew. Yeah, what is that? That's nasty. What is that? Gum? Gross. Yeah, who gave you gum? That's disgusting. Nasty dried gum on a block. Okay, time. I don't know what that is, but I know the half-life is 45 minutes. Yeah.
And I'm the buttons.
Oh, NO 1/2 T over H. No buttons, please.
I push it.
Okay.
I push it.
Yeah, why don't I fix that? I'll shut this off. Where's my power button here? Oh, crap.
There he is.
Yeah, I want it off. There. Now you can push the buttons all you want. I don't care. I shut the keyboard off. Alright, so now let's fill in what we know. So 13 is going to equal to 96 times 1/2. Time I don't know, divided by 45. Okay. Now, as I said, I can't do anything with this. Okay, because I can't raise 1/2 to the T over 45th power. That doesn't work. So instead, we're going to have to go after this first. So I'm going to divide by 96. Now again, you can do the decimal if you want, but I find it's easier to keep the fraction. 13 over 96 is equal to 1/2 raised to the T over 45th power. Okay, I'm going to shrink this down because we're going to need a lot more room for this. Now, as I warned you earlier, because we're solving for t and t is in the exponent, we need to drag this down into the problem. which means you have to use a logarithm. Okay, so here we go. Let's do log 13 over 96 is equal to t over 45 times the log of 1/2. Okay. Now, in solving any equation, we're trying to get this chunk alone. So I'm going to divide by the log of 1/2. And this is where it gets very fun for your calculator. You need to make sure you know how to use it. So I'm going to shrink this while we get ready. Okay. So on my calculator, depending on how your calculator works, some of you may have to type in 13 divided by 96 and then hit the log button. Some of you with a graphing calculator or an advanced scientific calculator can type just log of 13 over 96. But make sure you're using the parentheses. So log 13 divided by 96. Close the parenthesis, hit equal. And this is what you should get. If you do not get this, you need to go back and look at your calculator. You get negative 0.86832788807. This is still divided by log of 1/2. We'll get to that in a minute. Is equal to t over 45. Now, like I stressed, if you did not get this, you typed it into your calculator wrong, you probably have to reverse it or do it the normal way. Again, this is where knowing your calculator is going to be crucial. Okay, I'm going to shrink this down again so we have more room. Okay, so now I'm going to divide that decimal that's still in my calculator. I'm now going to divide it by log of 1/2. So again, depending on your calculator, you may have to do 1 divided by 2, hit the log button, and then equals. So you would do divided by, so it should do the previous decimal, then 1 divided by 2, and then hit the log button, and then equals, and it should give you the answer. For those of you with an advanced scientific or graphing calculator, you can just type log or hit divided by, and then do log of 1 divided by 2 in a parenthesis, and you should be okay. So here we go. I'm going to hit divided by log of 1 divided by 2, and I get this. 2.884522783 is equal to t over 45. Like I said, if you're not getting that, but you got this answer before, but you didn't get this, you need to go back in your calculator. Okay. So now at this point, now we're trying to solve for t. So like a normal equation, we're just going to times both sides by 45 to make that happen. So you're going to take, in my calculator, I just have to hit times, or you do your ANS times 45, and I get 129.8035252 is equal to t. Now, like I said before, we are going to be rounding to 2 places unless the problem tells us otherwise. So there's my 2 places. The 3 says we stay. So it's 129.80, and what was the original time? I think it was in minutes. Is equal to t. Now let me fix that. That looks terrible. Okay, so this took it 129, almost 130 minutes to drop to that point. Okay. All right, let's look at another one. All right, let me shrink this. Okay. The population of a town grew from 2,520 to 8,371 in 7 years. What is the doubling of the town? Doubling time of the town. All right, so right off the bat, I hear, oops, I forgot to do my highlighter. Hold on. Try that again. So doubling. So we're going to use the double formula. Okay, so here we go. We know that a town grew from 2,520, so that's NO, to 8,351, that's the newer value, and the time they give us is 7 years. Okay, so we're going to be looking for d, which means, sadly, we're going to be doing another logarithm. Okay, but we'll get there when we get there. So let's do what we need to do. N, O, T, and D. So N, 8, 3, 5, 1. Original amount was 2520. Time was 7 years, and they want to know how long it takes for the population to double. Okay. Yes, Garfield, what can I do for you? N equaling NO with 2 raised to the T over D. Okay. So let's fill in what we know. Newer value, 8351. Equals original value, 2520. Times 2. Time is 7 years, so 7 over D, I don't know what that is. Now, again, I can't go to the exponent here because I have a variable here. I don't know what that is, so we're not going to play with that right now. We're going to go after this. We're going to get this out of here. So I'm going to divide by 2520. And again, like I said, if you want to do the decimal, you can. I don't think it's going to be a very pretty one. So I would leave it like this. Okay. So now I'm going to shrink this so we can... Now, at this point, now we got to drag this exponent down into here. So we're going to use the log to do it. So we're going to have log of 8351 divided by 2520, 7 over D times the log of 2. Now I'm going to divide both sides by log of 2. Oops. So let me scribble this out. All right, I'm going to shrink this so we have room to work. So now let's get to work here. Now again, I'm going to focus solely here first. Now again, depending on your calculator, make sure you're getting this right answer. If not, you have to type the logarithm a different way. So I'm going to do log 8351 divided by 2520. Close the parenthesis and hit equals. I get 0.5203379429. Still divided by log 2 is equal to 7 over D. Now, like I said, if you did not get this, you may have to type it in the backwards way. So you'd have to do parenthesis, this fraction here, hit the equals, and then after that, hit the log button, and you should get this decimal. Now, I'm going to shrink this down. Again, if you're still working on getting that decimal, please pause the video till you do so. All right, now, I'm now going to divide that answer by log 2. So in my calculator, this thing is already still here. So I'm just going to hit divided by. Now again, if you have the backwards calculator, you have to do 2, then log, and equals. But if you have an advanced scientific calculator, or if you have a graphing calculator, all you have to do is do divide and then hit log 2 and equals. And I get this. 1.728525231 is equal to 7 over D. Now, at this point, we have a major problem. And the problem is this guy right here. Can't have the variable in the denominator of the fraction. Now, I've seen this done multiple different ways. I've seen some math teachers say, well, that's easy. Let's raise to the negative first power on both sides to flip this fraction over. And you can do that, but again, that creates a lot of confusion with my students. So how I usually teach my students is this. It's a lot easier for students to say, well, let's get the fraction out by timesing everything by d. So you get 1.728525231d is equal to 7. And then students can easily see, well, then I just divide by this. And again, the nice thing about this is, again, this decimal is already in your calculator, so you really don't have to do all that much. You shouldn't anyway. This is just using that second plus the A and S button here. So when I divide this, I get D is equal to, so on my calculator, I hit 7 divided by in the second function answer button. Or if you don't have that feature, you may have to copy this and store it in your calculator. Or worst case scenario, you have to type this whole monster out in your calculator. But to me, this is probably the easier way than trying to use negative ones as an exponent to flip it, and it just creates a headache. So I'm going to divide that out. I get 4.049695,008. And now rounding to 2 places, okay, I'm going to have D is equal to 4.05. And again, the time they gave us was years. So it takes it a little over 4 years for the town's population to double. Okay? All right, we got another one. Here we go. Let's take a look at this. All right, so again, first thing you do with any of these word problems is you read the stupid thing. Don't do anything else but read it. Okay, the element decayed to 52 kilograms from 17 kilograms in 28 days. What is the half-life of the element? Okay, so since we saw decay, okay, so right off the bat I know I'm using half-life, and it even says it right over here. All right, so let's go through this. The element decayed from 52 kilograms, so that's my starting amount, to 17 kilograms. Oops, 17 kilograms, that's my ending amount. Okay, in 28 days, so my time is 28 days. They want to know the half-life of the item. So N-O-T-H. All right, so let's fill in what we know. Our N is going to be 17. Our original value was 52. Time, I don't know what that... Oh, actually, I do know. It was 28 days. And they want to know the half-life. So very similar to the one we just did. N equaling N-O 1/2 raised to the T over H. All right. So again, because the variable that we're missing is in the exponent, this is another log problem. All right, so here we go. N, 17, equals NO, 52, times 1/2 time 28 divided by H. Now again, I can't do this because, again, I don't know what H is, so I can't be raising that to the power of 28 over H. It doesn't work. So we have to go after this. So we're going to divide by 52. So 17 over 52 is equal to 1/2 raised to the 28 over H. Now again, if you want to convert that to a decimal, you can. I like to keep it as a fraction because it makes more sense. All right, so now let's take the log, because I got to take this and drag it down. Okay, so I got to drag this down. So log, oops. So let's do log 17 over 52 is equal to 28 over H times the log of 1/2. going to shrink this down a smidge. All right, now I'm going to divide by log 1/2. Okay, so this cancels. All right, now very important now. I'm going to shrink this a smidge here. Doing the logarithm part on the calculator, very important. So again, knowing your calculator. So I'm going to type, because I have a graphing calculator, I'm going to type log 17 divided by 52. Close the parenthesis, hit equals. Again, if you have a calculator where you have to do 17 divided by 52 first and then hit the log, either way you should get this, negative 0.48555 442223 divided by log 1 divided by 2 is equal to 28 over h. Okay, let's scooch this down. I guess I get to put this over here now. It's separated. I'll scooch this a smidge. Now, someone once asked me, again, this was a long time ago, they said, gee, this is a proportion. So can't I multiply this with this? And can't I multiply this with this? Technically, you could. But again, I find that adds a lot of confusion to this process, which we really, this stuff is confusing enough as it is. We don't need to add to it. But again, if you want to do it that way, yes, this is technically a proportion. You can cross multiply to clear that out and then go from there. Again, I'm not going to demonstrate that here because I feel it adds more confusion than anything else. But that's up to you. If you want to try it, try it and then watch the video to the end of this slide and then see if you got the right answer. Okay, so I'm going to undo all this. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to take that decimal and I'm going to divide it by log of 1/2. So log 1 divided by 2. And again, you may have to do 1/2 log, divided by 1/2 log and then equals, depending on your calculator. So you get 1.612976877 is equal to 28 over h. Again, if you did not get that decimal, you need to go back and make sure you get the correct decimal. Otherwise, because you need to know how your calculator works. Now let's get the h out of the denominator, so it's times by h. So I get 1.612976877h equaling to 28. I'll kind of shrink that down a little bit here. Why are these all separating now? That's so weird. All right, so I'll bring that up here. All right, so now at this point, I'm now going to divide by the 1.61 blah, 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 blah. And again, that's all on your calculator. It's all saved. Hopefully you have a calculator that has an A and S button. So all you have to do is type 28 divided by that previous answer. Or worst case scenario, you have to type that back in. In the end, you should get 17.35920,731. Now again, we are going to be rounding to 2 places. So the 9 tells that 5 is going to 6. So 17.36. And again, we were told it was days. So it'd be 17.36 days. Okay. Are we good? We great? We wonderful? Hopefully you are. All right, so that's the end of this video. Hopefully you learned a lot, and I will see you in the next video.